Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with the Real Life Health Show. We are in the kitchen, we're making a dressing, and we're making a pine nut, dandelion, lemon dressing. It's one of my favorites. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to take some pine nuts. I don't have the exact amounts, I just looked at what we have in the kitchen here. So I'm going to take about 2 cups of pine nuts. I'm making this recipe now for a good amount of people. We're at a big function here where we have over 100 people. But I took about 2 cups of pine nuts. So if you're making this for yourself, you want to adjust it accordingly and maybe take half a cup of pine nuts if it's just for you and your family. So we got the pine nuts in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a handful of dandelion leaves. Pine nuts are a sweet nut, and dandelion leaves are quite bitter. Now I already washed these, and I'm throwing it in there with the roots and everything. So I have the dandelion leaves. I have the dandelion leaves. I have the pine nuts. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some avocados, and we have some nice big beautiful looking avocados. I'm just going to cut that open. Remember, one of the keys to dressings are you want them to have a salty flavor, but you also want them to have a fatty consistency because you're putting them over greens, usually bitter greens, because not too many greens are sweet. So if you're going to put them over some less bitter greens, you can go a little bit less on the salt and fat, but if you're putting them over some bitter greens like kale or dandelions, you can go a little bit more in the salt and maybe even add a couple of other things in there, just add a little bit more flavor. So I'm putting on my avocado in here. So now I have my avocado, I have my dandelions, I have my pine nuts, and I'm going to put a little bit more of another avocado in here just to get a little bit more of that consistency. So now this is 2 avocados for about 100 people. So when somebody asks me, is a lot of fat in that recipe? It's not much at all. If you put a 1/4 cup of pine nuts and just half an avocado or a sliver of avocado, that's enough for a family for a couple of days of this dressing. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some lemon juice, which I have right here. I'm going to take some lemon juice and just pour a little bit of that in. And depending on if you want to use limes or lemons or just something, some people might want to use namashoyu just to give it some type of liquid and some type of flavor or a zing. And I like to use the lemons. I'm going to put a little bit of salt here. I'm using some Celtic sea salt. And there we go. So that's basically it. Then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to the consistency I like it. And again, you don't have to take a lot of time to make these recipes. I'm at this function here. They asked me to put a recipe together. And this is one of my favorite dressings that a lot of people love. So next thing I'm going to do is just blend it right up here. And I already poured it in. I had another batch I made. I already poured it in, and there it is. It's a nice fluffy dressing, a good consistency. You don't want to make it too thick, but you don't want to make it too watery either. Just right in the middle, almost like a good ketchup, consistency-wise. Speaking of which, if you wanted to, you could even throw a tomato in here if you want to have that little flavor to it. But I didn't do that this time. Now, if you want to make a dessert, you can do exactly what I just did. And instead of using dandelion, you could use some other type of green, like spinach, let's say. And you could also put some dates in there, or even honey. And then you could have a delicious avocado, healthy dessert. So that's what I did with that. And now I'm just going to finish blending it up, put it over a nice salad. Now in that salad, I'm going to have standard any type of lettuce greens that we have. Again, there's a little sweeter dressing, so it'll go over some nice bitter greens quite well. We could have chopped up tomatoes in there, some chopped up zucchini. This goes great by itself over broccoli. If you have just chopped up broccoli and put this over there, it's delicious. Alright, so if anyone has any questions or comments about the recipe, and you try it yourself and you see how great it is, just post everything below the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and a great raw life.
Good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.